Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Well, here we are once again, Andy Walker for the Missing Links Golf Show in 2026. We've been slightly longer between episodes over the last week than planned, but
yeah, we missed a week, which was unexpected. But sometimes life pounds out that way, and
life gets busy.
It was. I went to the big bash between the Sixers and the Thunder at the SCG on Friday night, and our communication went, "Oh, we didn't record this week." I'm like, "No, we didn't."
I'd thought about it that morning, and it was a bit late at that point. But what a game! Yeah. Steve Smith, 100 off 40 rocks, unbelievable.
Yeah. That's those first few balls of the power play where he's just absolutely smoked. Yep. Sort of was that 3 sixes in a row?
4,
and then a 4.
Four sixes.
4 sixes.
Yeah, 4 sixes.
Yeah.
Insane.
I know one of them was the Baronga stand, and one of them almost went over our heads.
Yeah, landed on the roof.
It
was crazy.
It was a genius in action. And as much as I am a Thunder fan and have been since day dot, it was it was amazing to see Warner score a ton. I was there. I'm glad I was there to see Warner score a ton, but it was also, just as good to see Smith score a ton as well. I mean, that was just an amazing innings, just took apart just about the whole entire Thunder attack.
He certainly did, and he may have upset a few of our Pakistani pilgrims with his treatment of Bubba Azam as well by refusing the single, which ultimately Bubba finished his knock on 47 and was a little bit cranky with Steve Smith, but I believe they've patched things up, and they went out to open the batting again in another great run chase as the Sixers toppled the Perth Heat to take the last spot in the final series.
The Perth Heat?
Even the Brisbane Heat. It could have been the Brisbane Heat, not the... So
that sounds better.
Once again, they're not from Western Australia.
Yeah,
they're a bit like...
the Adelaide.
Yep, they're a bit like Lucas. They're not from Western Australia. They're not from South Australia either. They're from Perth. No, they're from Brisbane. They're from somewhere. Anyway, wow.
You've got something going on with WA, haven't you?
I know.
There's a pull towards WA. I think.
I don't know what it is
to get out there, and
I am going there. I am going there in about 4 weeks' time. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Who's to know?
In the back of the mind.
Anyhow, moving on. Speaking of the Pilgrims, though, Andy Walker, we do have a voice of the Pilgrims that's
already okay.
It's worth sharing. Yeah, and it is in fact we've had this from a couple of people. It is in response to the greatest podcast-based international global golf competition known as the Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship.
Yep.
This one comes from Scotty Grant. So Scotty says in a comment on one of the Facebook posts about the yearly championship, he says, and I quote, "Not sure where you boys get your countback rules from, but this is what every club I know follows. Looking at the front nine and then going straight to hole 18 is just rubbish you've made up yourselves." And then he has a screenshot of the actual countback rolls.
Don't we then go from like the back nine to then the front nine?
We do. So I did remind him that he'd missed that step as well.
Not that like it really makes too much difference, but
I'm still waiting for the day where it does. But in fairness to Scotty, and he did clip a little section of the rules, but we did have another message from our resident rules expert. You might remember Peter, who contacted us, who's actually one of the rules volunteers in quite a few of the tournaments. And he says some very nice things to us, unlike Scotty. But he says some very nice things to us. And then he says, "Missing Links Golf Show stable for comp is great fun. As the committee, of course, you and Andy are entitled to choose whatever method you like to decide. However, I may have missed a discussion on it, but the MyScore processes, which is pretty universal worldwide, to separate ties if countbacks are equal on the back nines, is to compare scores in blocks of 6, i.e. 13 to 18, then 7 to 12, and if still tied in blocks of 3, i.e. 16 to 18, 13 to 15, 10 to 12, 7 to 9, etc., and then finally hole by hole back from 18. It's way too complicated for mine.
I'm going to say, it sounds like a lot of work.
I'm not doing it.
I mean, I think I did mention when the countback first came up, I think I did mention that that's not the standard club.
Yeah, you did.
Countback methodology. However, we're not a club.
No, and
or a podcast.
As Peter rightly points out, we are the match committee and can therefore make up our own rules when it comes to countbacks.
We're not a democracy.
No, we're not. We're not. That's not a conversation we're going to have either.
We just had a conversation prior to jumping on the air about that topic, and it's not something that we really want to delve into.
It's not what we need to talk about. But so here you go. I've got a suggestion for you, or I've got a question for you, Andy Walker and Pilgrims. Feel free to jump on this on the Facebook page if you have an opinion. So for this year, because the 2026 Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship threatens to be bigger and better than ever before, we have actually had quite an influx of new contestants, and there's been a lot of scorecards for January coming in already, and they are pretty red hot. And I can say that it looks like there will be countbacks involved because there's a lot of high scores. So, options. I think it seems to me that the Pilgrims are not overly happy with the back nine, front nine, hole 18. I'm feeling like we're getting that message. To be perfectly honest, I'm not overly happy with it either, because it means that I really need to scrutinise the scorecards when they come in, which, to be perfectly honest, who's got time for that? Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is
straight to 18.
No, better than that. I think you'll enjoy this.
Yep. A
virtual playoff, Andy Walker.
Right. Okay.
And how are we going to do that, I hear you think?
Well, it was the obvious question.
Well, in my hand, I've got the dice of truth.
Wow. Okay.
So I think that the best way of solving countbacks is that we've got 2 players, 3 players, however many players it is. We roll the dice for each of them, and that's the score that they shoot on the playoff hole, somewhere between 1 and 6. Lowest score wins. Andy Walker, very simple, and I think could prove quite entertaining live on the show as we roll the dice and get a score. Whoopsie, I just dropped it. Thoughts?
It's different.
It's definitely different.
It wasn't, bringing ice into a golf game.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have been my first option, but.
Do you have another option?
Well, I was going to sort of suggest, if we're going to sort of do a count back in that, rather than doing the 9, 6, 3 and comparing the different threes, is just go 9, 6, 3, 1.
It's too much work.
So, and if comparing 9 is going to be too much work,
we'll see the issue.
4-step process.
The issue that
we've a bit too much work.
The issue that we've got is that we quite often get stroke scores that get sent through as a Stableford conversion, but without all of the holes done. Right. So if someone,
didn't we say if someone, because it's a stable competition, right?
Correct.
So if it's a Stableford competition, you've got to submit your score in a Stableford format. If you're not prepared to, because this is a bit of admin for us, obviously. And when I say it's a bit of admin for us,
you mean me?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Because you're the official scorer when it comes to the yearly championship. So if someone's not prepared to help us out in converting their own competition score to a Stableford score, then yeah, we'll just do a quick conversion as to how many points they had. But yeah, if you know but as for them, the countback, they automatically lose the countback.
That's definitely an option. I think we throw it open to the Pilgrims on this one. Get in touch with us, let us know what you want. Because to be honest with you, Andy Walker, I feel like the drama, the theatre of the virtual playoff could be a whole lot of fun.
All right. Well, look, let's, if the Pilgrims, I mean, I want to say it's not a democracy, maybe it is a democracy. So if the Pilgrims want the virtual dice.
It's a real dice. It's virtual playoff.
So what you've got to do then, you've got to make sure you film it and release it on the Facebook page when there's a playoff or a countback.
Well, we'll be doing it live on the show.
So, yeah, just got to make sure that it's all official and there's no dodgy stuff going on.
You could be the scrutiny.
All right. Happy with that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's throw it to the Pilgrims. What do you reckon? So there's the 9631, which is still not standard club countback, or there's the virtual playoff with the dice.
No, you see, and this is the thing. When it's done in club comps, Andy Walker, the computer will do it for you.
Yeah.
The computer doesn't do it for me. So I'm not going 9631.
Computer says no.
Yeah. So happy to go 9 and then 18 as we've done this year, but I feel like that's been rejected.
Okay.
Anyway, it's up for discussion. Pilgrims, let us know what you think. I'm all in favour of the virtual playoff.
We've got to the end of January pretty much.
A little bit of time up our hands.
Yeah, we need to make a decision before the end of January, before the first month is done. So yeah, give us your thoughts on what you think that the countback should be, and what the methodology we should have, which isn't going to be too take too much of our time or Steve's time from an administration perspective.
Correct. Now, bear in mind, I will be assessing your feedback based on any scores that you've submitted already in January and what your back nine looks like.
Okay. Yep.
So for someone that says, I've got 40 points and 25 of them were on the back nine, I really want a back nine countback, we'll be going, do you now? Anyway.
Yeah.
Give us your opinion.
I mean, you could potentially be shooting yourself in the foot with that as well, because it's really only 1 month that you're putting yourself in that position.
This is true. Or any other suggestions. Suggestions are welcome. I like the dice of truth. We'll see how we go. Excuse me. So, Andy Walker, where to tonight?
Well, you've got around to golf, I believe.
Ooh, that's a good point.
You did have, I noticed on the Facebook page, you put a scorecard up.
I did.
And said there was more to discuss when it comes to
I did do
that round of golf. I did notice just before we started, that your nemesis hole came back to bite you, which I did make the comment that with the reno of the course that hole is going. So I'm sure you're very happy about that.
I can't wait to see the end of it, to be perfectly honest. But that's okay. Let me find the scorecard, and let me find. We won't necessarily go through this in a shot by shot. I feel, but there probably is a few bits to focus on in this, because there was a bit that went on. Andy Walker.
And I wouldn't mind having a chat. You sent me your strokes gained data as well. I wouldn't mind sort of going through that as well, just to for a bit more sort of context.
It was an interesting day out. So look, let me paint the picture for you. We teed off at 12:45 in the afternoon. And it was about, I think it was forecast to get to around about 36 degrees out on the course at Royal Dubbo. So it wasn't the hottest that it's been by any stretch lately, but it wasn't cool, if you know what I mean. So we played the course as designed, front nine first. So teed off on one, and I'll take you through the scores by hole rather than shot by shot, and then we can kind of debrief a few things that went on, Andy Walker. So we started out with a bogey on the first, which was, I've got to say, actually a bit disappointing because I hit a good drive, good second, even though I said I'm not going to do shot by shot. It's a par 5, and I was up just in front of the green for 2. Simple pitch onto a front pin, and just hit it far too hard. Well and truly, like to the sort of back right fringe from the front left, and then had a good lag putt down and left myself with about 4 feet, which looked for all money like it was a right edge putt going to just drip to the left, and seemed to go uphill, missed to the right. So that was disappointing. I still stand by the fact that there's no way in the world that putt ever goes right, but it did on that particular occasion. So that was annoying. Yeah. So anyway, we started bogey. The second was a double, and then I went bogey, bogey. So after 4 holes, I was 5 over.
Yep.
However, on a Stableford perspective, I was on 6 points after 4 holes. So I was only 2 shots down.
Yep.
Because it is there's a few tough holes on the start. Definitely 3 and 4 are tough holes.
So do you get shots on most of those holes?
I don't get a shot on 1. I do get a shot on 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, yeah.
I was playing off 9.
That makes sense.
I was playing off 9 for the day. And then after that, I only get a shot on 9 on that front 9. So
right. Okay.
I get 4 shots on the front 9, and 3 of them are in the first 4 holes. So you kind of get a bit of a feel for what's going on. So anyway, what were we? We were 5 over after 4, and then we went par, birdie, par to finish the night.
Nice. That's good finish.
So
especially after that start.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was good. That brought things back to 18 points for the front 9. Now I should say on that birdie, which was on 7, so that's the par 5, straight par 5 up the hill.
Yep.
So I was on the green for 2, which was good. Hit a good drive and a really good 5-wood on the green for 2, and the eagle putt was like 2 inches short. It just sat short. It was uphill the whole way. Like it was a pretty long putt. It would have been about a 25-footer. So I wasn't really thinking about making it necessarily, but just lagging it close to make sure the birdie. But I tell you, about sort of 6 feet out, I'm like, this is tracking. This has got a chance here, and it just stopped just short. So anyway, that was pretty solid though. I was quite happy with that because by the sort of second half of that 9, I was striking the ball pretty well. I will say what was weird, I had absolutely no feel in my hands for putting or chipping and pitching.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. It was straight. And I think,
in distance or?
Yeah, just distance and just like feel of the club head. It was very strange.
Yep.
I think it's probably mostly to do with really not having played a lot of golf through January. And, just when you sort of lose a little bit of that touch around the greens.
Yep.
But it was a bit of a battle, actually.
Right.
It was a bit of a grind. So I was pretty happy to be able to pull that together for the 9. So that was good. So then we moved on to the 10th hole and went bogey, par, bogey, birdie.
Okay.
Bogey, par, bogey, and a double to finish.
Yes, that 18th.
And so that was again an 18-point second 9. So 18 for 36 points, which was decent golf. But look, it probably should have been about 38 to 39. There were 3 putts. So there was the one on 1, which I should have made. There was another one on 4, which I should have made on 4. It was about a 4-footer, and it was a straight pull. Missed the hole. It was just a bad putt, a lack of concentration. And then on 17, I was on the green for 2 which is always a good effort on 17. That's a tough hole. It's a long, straight par 4, but it's pretty tough one. So he hit a good drive and a good 6 iron to the centre of the green.
Yep.
And then I just think I had a end of a round on a hot day, mental brain fade lapse, and hit my first putt about halfway.
Yeah.
And was left with about 8 feet for par and just missed it and tapped in for bogey. So that's 3 putts that I've cost myself just by mental lapses, to be perfectly honest.
But I mean, what I see in this is that take away the first 2 holes and the last 2 holes, and
which you're not allowed to do in a game of golf, by the way.
You're not. But for the 14 holes in the middle, and they're 14 consecutive holes.
Yeah.
You're only 3 over.
Yeah.
Now that to me says that because I've looked back at sort of some of your other rounds of golf, and it's sort of, you've got some good stretches of 4 or 5 holes, but there'll be a couple of really bad holes. So I think that 14-hole stretch is a decent stretch to be able to say, all right, well, the improvement's there. You've just got to make a couple more tweaks. And look, obviously the 3 putt on 17 is a bit of a mental lapse, and the nemesis hole of the 18 is just what it is, and you won't have that sort of soon. But to me, there's a lot of promise, and I know we've been saying it for a while now, but I don't think I've ever seen you or a score you've put in where there's been 14 straight holes of good golf.
Maybe not. I think I'm just trying to think back. My last round was, where were we? Yeah, that my last round was 14 points on the front 9 and 21 on the back 9. So it wasn't 14 holes, because I started with 2 pars and then had a bit of a wobbly period for the, then with a birdie thrown in, but for the back end of that front 9. And then I went, on the second 9, I went 6 pars and a birdie and then a bogey and a double. So same finish. But it was a shorter stretch of holes, definitely. But and you're right, I have been pulling together more often longer stretches of good golf rather than, just 2 or 3 holes like it might have been 6 months ago.
Yep.
So there probably is some improvement. And, that, to be honest with you, that round that I played from a handicapping perspective, that was a differential of 8.8, which replaced a round falling out at the end of my 20 rounds of an 8.8, would you believe?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Excellent.
But that's in about a 12-month period to turn over all 20 rounds. So that shows you I haven't been playing enough golf. But that's the second best score that I've got in those 20 now.
Yeah, right.
There's a 7.4, an 8.8, a few 9s, a few 10s. So handicap's at 9.9 at the moment. It didn't move as a result of replacing a round with exactly the same one. But it's
really?
That's strange, isn't it?
That's almost as surprising.
Front 9, back 9.
Front 9, back 9, count back.
Yeah. But it is like there's a definite improvement in ball striking, and I know that to be true. There is also, without a doubt, some low-hanging fruit on a short game improvement that I need to make, and that's probably chipping and pitching even more so than putting. I had 34 putts in the round, so that was, not great, not terrible. It was pretty standard. I think my average should be at about 32, but at the same time, I feel like I'm hitting a few more greens now than I used to as well. So the number of putts is probably, that could creep up by 1 or 2, because quite often you're going to be hitting greens with longer putts as your first putt.
Yep. And that's the whole thing with better ball striking. And this is where sort of strokes gained sometimes can, be a good thing to be able to understand that you're not, even though you're having more putts, you're not necessarily putting worse. because if you're hitting more greens and you're having longer putts and obviously the majority of the time you will two putt those, then that's still a reasonable expectation, and you're still putting well from a strokes gain perspective. Although as we sort of talked about before, I'm not entirely convinced that you should be relying completely on strokes gain, because I think there's some context that strokes gain doesn't take into consideration, and we've talked about certainly when I play at Coimbra and especially off the front tees, where when I'm hitting driver and my driver's not great, from a consistency perspective at the moment anyway, but a lot of the trouble is at my driver length. So I pull that back and hit my 3 utility off the tee the vast majority of the time, which puts me in a much, much better strategic position. Strokes gain doesn't take that into consideration, and I get a really poor strokes gained data set at Coimbra, yet I look at the strokes gained data set on all my other golf courses that I play, and it's significantly better with my driver.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. And that's true. And it is interesting because when I look at the strokes gained on this round, which I sent to you, and I know you kind of were a little bit surprised by it. So it's saying that against a scratch golfer benchmark, which is our standard, I lost 2.59 shots off the tee.
Yep.
I gained 0.14 on approaches. I lost 3.25 on short game, and I lost 0.45 on putting. Now, as I said to you in the message with that, I don't feel like that was necessarily an accurate description of what went on. I would say on reflection, though, after giving you that review, the tee shots of minus 2.59 were on the second hole. This was interesting. On the second hole, I've hit one of the worst drives I think I've hit in a long time. Yep. Smother hooked one into a tree. Shot scope tells me it was 58 metres off the tee box.
Yeah, right.
And it was so dead. Like, it was then hit the tree, was behind the tree, so I had to punch out under low overhanging branches. Couldn't even get anywhere near up to the corner of the fairway. It's dogleg right, and I was on the right hand side. So I had to then hit another gap wedge to the corner, gap wedge to the green, 2-putted for double. And that drive really cost me the 2 shots on that hole. So,
but it doesn't give you a minus 2.59 strokes lost over an 18 hole round. Yeah, you've lost 2 shots on that particular hole, and for that hole, you've got a minus 2 strokes gain. But what this is the whole round you've got minus 2.59.
Yeah, so 2 shots of those 2.59 really is in one hole. So there's 0.59 for the rest of the round, is my point. So not that the shot strokes gained is going to calculate at that. It's probably still only costing me. I could go into the hole actually and tell you.
Yeah, see that sort of shot, I wouldn't have thought that's going to cost you 2 shots.
No, it won't. It won't. But what I'm driving at. Sorry, probably not explaining it well. What I'm driving at is when I said to you in the message, I actually felt like driver was my strength in that round.
Yep.
There was that moment which was pretty catastrophic, and that's what led to a double. There was 2 other moments where I'd hit good drives but taken conservative lines off the tee to avoid water on 12 and 14, and as a result, got blocked out with shots to the green. So essentially, they've kind of cost you a half a shot each, even though I've pretty much hit the drive like maybe less than 10 yards off my target, but because I'd taken a conservative target, that's brought a little bit of other trouble into play. So, but what I would also say is, and this was the case not only for driver, but I felt I was probably a good 5 to 10 metres longer with driver, and also with quite a lot of my other clubs, because Pilgrims, as a result of not being particularly fit in the back end of last year, I have been hitting the gym again and feeling much better about and much more. I don't think it's so much strength. I think it's actually mobility, flexibility and mobility that probably makes a difference. So that also has helped a bit. So on the fifth hole, Andy Walker, the pin was at 135 metres. It was a back pin on the fifth hole, short par 3.
Yep.
So at 130.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Or sort of
the par 3, the fifth, the short par 3.
Oh, the par 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah. A dogleg? Can't have a dogleg par 3. What are you talking about?
Yeah, dogleg par 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So 135 to the pin, which was kind of a back pin. So I've hit 8-iron, and not really gone at it, just a smooth 8-iron, which for me would be that would be a pretty good number, 130 to 135. It's flown the green.
Yeah, right.
Back edge was 140.
Wow.
That was unexpected.
Yeah, and look, once you start doing gym work and you start gaining strength and the mobility and flexibility, that definitely has an impact on how far you hit each club. There's no doubt that strength and the ability to generate club head speed that comes along with it, even if you're swinging what you feel as though is your normal swing with strength, you're still going to generate more club head speed.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I think that played a part in that, it was finding the center of the club face.
That also has a fair bit to do with it. Yeah. Certainly helps.
Yeah, that can make a difference. But like that was exciting though, because I had been feeling like I was kind of maybe losing just a little bit of distance in the last 6 months. And so I definitely felt in that round, and also when I had a practice round during the week, just of 9 holes, and was hitting similar distances, I feel like I've probably reversed that issue in the short term a little bit. So that's really good.
Yeah, and
make a big
just
difference.
Playing golf is going to have that impact. I mean, once your rhythm, your timing, and your ability to hit the middle of the club face. I mean, you're not gonna hit it as far just because you're not playing as much.
True, also true. So look, all in all, I feel like probably coulda, shoulda, woulda been a couple of shots better. But I think you often feel like that, don't you? You know, in reality, there's always the ones you miss that you remember, and the ones you make that you probably. That might have been a 50-50, you take them for granted. So you got to kind of have that balance and go, all right, well, there's probably three that got away, maybe 4 if you look at 18. But all in all, it was a good round of golf. It's my second best score differential-wise over the last 12 months. That's a good thing. Last 2 rounds have been 35 and 36 points, so that's kind of feels like it's building in the right direction, Andy Walker.
So again, just from what you're focusing on from now on, because I can see here in your strokes gained from the weekend, you had a minus 3.25 with short game. So and I know we've talked about short game a lot on the show. Is that going to be a focus over the next 12 months?
It absolutely is. Now with the Square launch monitor. And the ability to do a bit of nearest the pin contest work on the Square. I was having a go on that about a week ago and turned the putting feature on to see how many times I could get up and down on that.
Yep.
So hit a chip and then make the putt. It was really, really fun actually doing it like that.
What did you set the gimme range at?
I think it was about 1 foot. It was it was as small as it could be. So I was putting.
Because I in meters. So I was setting it at 1 meter. So inside a meter, it was a gimme.
Yeah. So it might have been a meter. Yeah. It was whatever the smallest. Whatever the smallest increment was that I could do with it. But on that one, because I was just kind of getting to know it a little bit at the moment, that was That was with the flat green, so every putt straight. But I'm actually quite looking forward to giving it a go with some undulations and trying to read what that's all about, seeing how that works and seeing how accurate it is. It is interesting though, like trying to, because I had it set up with the projector onto the impact screen, so I was actually able to look at the pin whilst I was hitting it. Rather than having it just as a number in your head and looking at the TV screen next to you. Doing it with the projector on the screen was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So thoroughly recommend that. So definitely be doing a bit of that. But at the same time, like that will have some benefit, but it's also just so different to then going out and chipping off actual grass with different lies and real consequences in the round, because I think a lot of the time it's very mental more so than physical. And there was a comment from one of the Pilgrims, from Peter, that had actually asked us to maybe delve into short game a little bit. So I think we might do that for a future episode. And just how much of it is physical and technical versus how much of it is actually in your head.
Yep.
When things get, we don't want to use the Y word, but when things get a bit snatchy at impact, what can happen there?
Yeah. And I think that that's also individual, and it's golf's an individual sport, as we know, and like when you're hitting a full shot, there's going to be some people who are going to be more field based. There's going to be some people who are going to be more technical based. So I think that's a very individual question to answer, but certainly I think that everyone can go to one extreme or the other. So you need to find something that's a little bit in between, in that you do need good technique, but it's super important to have feel.
So here's something for you, which I haven't told you. On the 14th hole, where I'd hit a drive and I was a little bit blocked out by the trees on the left. I was blocked out. I was in the trees. I won't lie.
Yep.
And you know how we've talked about that, having that low punch shot out of the trees, which is really useful. So, which I have been working on, and it's been really good. So I appreciate that. But I was there and I had a gap that I could play, say a low 7-iron through to try and run it up to about, maybe 20 metres short of the green. I wasn't going to get to the green from that angle. But I definitely had that shot as an option. Or my other option was to just pitch out sideways, and it would leave me with something at around about 80 metres into the green.
Yep.
I was actually standing there and I chose to pitch out sideways to have 80 metres into the green because I felt more comfortable having a full wedge at the green than a 20-metre pitch. That's how bad the feel was.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Turned out that
that's not ideal.
No, it's not. Turned out it was probably not a bad option anyway, because I did hit a pretty good wedge into the green. So that was fine. But it was just really interesting that thought process presented itself whilst I was standing there selecting that shot. Going, oh, I don't really want that pitch.
Yep. And again, from a strokes gain perspective, that makes no sense at all.
Correct.
And that's where I think, coming back to the point of strokes gained having a certain limitation, that's where it has the limitation where, what you feel is the best. And I understand that, the collective data over hundreds of millions of golf shots is that the closer you are to the pin, the more chance you've got of A, hitting it close, and B, getting it up and down. However, that doesn't recognize you as an individual and how you're feeling on the day.
Exactly. And which, of course, is what you've got to take into account with your course management and your decision making. And the reality is probably, even though I was feeling wobbly with my short game, but probably, 8 times out of 10 from 20 metres, I'm going to be closer than I am from 80. I mean, that logically would stand to reason. But that's just sort of one of those little things that was interesting about the round, and it just kind of illustrated how much of a grind it was, short game was, to hold that together. So to walk away, I shot 80 off the stick. I thought it was a pretty good day out, to be perfectly honest. Could easily have been a little bit better. Probably wasn't going to be much worse than what it was. because I don't really think anything dropped from any magnitude of putt, but I thought it was pretty solid. Ball striking wise, it was a solid round of golf. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So there you go. That's that one. So what's been happening with you, Andy Walker?
So look, I've been doing a little bit of practice, getting back into the health and fitness as well after having a bit of a break from it over Christmas. And as the Pilgrims know, I had the unfortunate incident with my wrist again, where the wrist started playing up, and
Not ideal.
And it pains me to say this because I've also done a little bit of research on this now. I think one of the main culprits is alcohol. And alcohol does, do some research on different studies, and alcohol does inflame osteoarthritis symptoms.
Bugger.
And yeah, I hadn't drunk alcohol from pretty much July right through until Christmas. I'd had sort of one, I went to a funeral back in October, and the guy loved red wine, so I had a red wine to in honor of him, but it was one. However, over Christmas, I did indulge a little bit, and both diet and drinking as well. So it potentially could be sort of part of the diet as well. However, my symptoms have been over January, been slowly getting better to a point where I've been able to start doing some resistance training, and I've got my cross trainer that I've been getting back into. So that's been really, really good. So feeling much, much better. But also been able to do a couple of practice sessions in the high performance center. Now, just sort of starting off just with the shorter iron, so sort of 7-8 iron, and then some pitching. I've actually switched over to the Awesome Golf app. So I'm finding that the data is well, I think the data is more accurate from my from my perspective. So the Square native software, and as we've talked about, I used the nearest to the pin function a little bit, and I found that really good. But the limitation that has is you can only go in 10-meter increments. It doesn't have, you can't go, even 5 would be better. However, it only, the intervals are 10 meters, which I find is just way too wide. Whereas Awesome Golf, you can actually set the pin, and it goes in 1 meter increments.
Yeah, right.
So you've got a choice of either setting a pin or not setting a pin. But it also, you can practice, if you want to, you can say, okay, well, I'm going to set the pin at 72 meters and be able to have a practice session for that distance. Now, if you want to change it, you've got to manually change it, which is sort of so it doesn't have the randomized setting that the Square has. However, I also find that to be, I'm finding that environment to be a lot better for my practice sessions. So
interesting.
So yeah, so I on Sunday, we're recording on Monday, so this was yesterday. I actually had a much longer session. I actually hit 60 shots in all, so that sort of comprised of 30 shots, sort of short game wedges of varying distances. I then hit 10 7-irons, 10 3 utility irons, and 10 drives. So got the driver out and sort of gave my wrist a bit of a workout. And the last 5 drives were actually trying to hit it as hard as I can to get the maximum swing speed and maximize my ball speed. Now, with the Awesome Golf app, I haven't been able to get my club head speed for some reason. Even with the silver tape that I put on the driver, I still wasn't able to get club head speed. So I need to figure out why that is. But from a ball speed perspective, so my probably 12 months or so ago, I was sort of around the mid 150s for my ball speed. That sort of dropped back a little bit. I'm sort of in between sort of, 151, 152 the majority of the time at the moment. However, last night when I was when I was trying to sort of maximize the ball speed and club head speed, I was getting up over sort of the 160, got to sort of, almost 164
Nice.
ball speed. So, and that's sort of some of the things that I'm going to try and work on this year in working on. I'd really like to get my club head speed and understand what my club head speed is, because I was, as you know, I was doing some training with the stack a few years ago, and I got my club head speed almost up to 110 miles an hour. It was sort of 108, 109, and my goal was to get it to 110. Ideally, I'd like to get a little bit higher than that, but that was without sort of it was only a few months of work with the stack. I got it up to, I think I started off around the 105, 106, and got it up to, almost 110, which is good. So I'd like to be able to get my club head speed back up to around that 110 mark, and I've sort of watched a little bit of what Bryson DeChambeau does, and the way one of the ways he works on club head speed is just to spend a session just trying to hit it as hard as what he possibly can, which I think makes a lot of sense. Logically, that makes a lot of sense to me. So that's something that I'm going to start implementing into my practice sessions in, maybe the last 5-10 shots that I hit. I'm just going to, pull out my driver and just try and hit it as hard as I can and see where that club head speed and ball speed goes.
I might have to give that a go. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of fun. And I'm not saying that the shot done was and the shot shape was particularly good, and I just felt all over the place. I didn't feel as though, because I'm working on getting my club head a bit shallower, and I've actually and for Christmas I got a skills training aid which keeps my right arm and my right elbow closer to my body, because I feel as though my right elbow was sort of flying a bit. I mean, it always has always had a bit too much of a flying right elbow, and that doesn't really help with the over the top moves, so and the early extensions. So I'm trying to just keep my right elbow a little bit more tucked. And that seems to be better in getting getting the club head and the club shaft into the slot for impact. So that's been pretty good, and I've been working on that. But those last 5 shots that I was trying to hit as hard as what I possibly can, it felt awful. But there's a
you're not doing that
reason for it.
That's it. You're not doing that for technique, and you're doing it purely and simply for club head speed and sort of retraining the body for what it can cruise at. That's all that's sort of definitely in line with what Sasha McKenzie talks about. That half of it is just sort of taking the handbrake off your body and allowing it to have a go. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, because certainly with the when I'm practicing position and the positions in my swing, I'm not even swinging at normal speed. I'm just trying to slow my swing down as much as I can and still make solid contact. And I know, talk about Golf Beneath the Surface and Dr. Raymond Pryor, they talk about that a lot, in that a lot of the PGA Tour guys, when they're making swing changes especially, they're trying to slow their swings down as much as what they possibly can to really focus on where they are throughout the swing. So I'm trying to take on board a little bit of that as well. I have been out and done a couple of short game and putting sessions just on the practice putting green and the practice chipping green, which has been good. Quite interestingly, I'm probably going to just move away doing putting practice on the putting mat in the high performance center, I'm finding that is not having a positive impact on my strokes. So I'm probably going to move away from the putting mat and just focus on putting on a real putting green. I feel as though
you got me really excited for a minute, because I thought you were going to say I'm moving away from the broomstick.
No, definitely not. Definitely
That's a
not.
shame.
Yep. Well, I did try a couple of different grips with Broomy. I tried the where you've got the grip in between your forefinger and your middle finger. I think Bernard Lang uses that one.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe that was going to be really good and was going to maybe be a bit more stable, was going to keep the club face a little bit more stable. Because I tried that on the putting mat and it felt good on the putting mat, but I've tried it on a real putting surface on the green and it was just terrible. It was awful.
Interesting.
I actually, and it wasn't so much the shorter putts, it was more the longer putts, in that I felt so with effectively the Adam Scott grip, which is how I use it, which I think's in between your thumb and your finger. I find I get a really good smooth roll pretty much as soon as I hit it, whereas with the other grip in between my ring finger, my index finger and my middle finger, I felt as though the ball jumps off the club face, and takes maybe 20% of the way to the hole before it actually starts making a reasonably smooth roll. So I feel as though my stroke is significantly better with my original grip. So I again, based on what I was feeling on a real putting green, I ditched the alternate grip pretty quickly and just went back to the original.
See, I'm contemplating whether or not I muck around with putting right-handed.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. After the Sam Putlab experience last year down there, where apparently I was in the elite level of the European Tour stats for path and face control right-handed.
Yep.
And let's say not in the elite level left-handed.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, you come back to the difference between, what the data's telling you and what actually works. And I don't necessarily think that those two are always aligned.
No, they're not. They're not. And I don't think I'd seriously contemplate actually doing it, and certainly not in a competitive round where the pressure and everything else starts to have an impact. But I wouldn't mind just having a go at it for, like, say, a practice 9.
Yep.
Just to see. And I think just as a social experiment, I owe it to the Pilgrims.
Yeah.
But I will need to borrow someone's right-handed putter to do that, because this may come as a surprise, but I don't own a right-handed putter.
Funny that. I've got an old Zebra right-handed putter, which is probably about 35 years old.
Nice. And then that's a whole other variable as well, isn't it? Like, bringing in his at the 30-year-old putter. But mind you, putter technology, I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't putt with a 30-year-old putter.
Yeah, the Zebra, because with the Zebra, you could sort of unscrew the base plate and change the weights, and I've lost all the weights that was in it, so it's actually a very, very light putter.
No, it's no good for me. Well, I don't know. Right-handed, it's no good for me. Left-handed, but I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend using it. If certainly if I was ever to try a short putter again, I wouldn't be going with the Zebra. I'd be investing in something different.
No, I think. I'm sure one of the guys around the golf club would be happy to lend a right-handed putter to.
Surely the pro shop's got a demo right-handed putter that you could go out and try.
I could do it if I wanted to. Like, if I actually got off my rear end and did it, I'd be able to do it. I'll commit to doing it. I will do it, Pilgrims. I will do it, and we'll see what happens. It might be in early February that we give that one a run and see how we go. putting right in.
Maybe next time we have a round of golf together, I'll go to the short right-handed putter and the short putter, and you can putt right-handed and see how we go.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I actually don't know that it will make that much difference. So anyway, it's a bit of fun. Oh dear.
So anyway, I'm hopeful with my game. I'm hopeful that things are going to improve, because my wrist, while there was a little bit of pain in the wrist, again, I was able to hit 10 drives, which the last 5 were, as hard as I could, and there was minimal pain. So I feel as though I'm a little bit in a holding cycle until I see this hand and wrist specialist on the 30th. A little bit more of an update then, and hopefully, we'll be able to put a plan in place to have a permanent solution. Well, maybe not a permanent solution, but a better solution than what I've got at the moment, which, isn't really working that well.
No. Well, fingers crossed. There has been progress, so that's good. All is not lost. And we've got to, I think as well, on top of that, probably spend a little bit of time about thinking about what we want to get out of 2026 in terms of planning, discussion, bit of goal setting, and, kind of development plans and some of those concepts that we do like to do on an annual basis. A little bit of a review of where things are at.
I would love to be able to play in 12 events on the New South Wales Senior Amateur Circuit, because that would then give me the full sort of round that, well, it doesn't qualify me for the Order of Merit, but it's your best 12 rounds of golf. So it gives me the best chance to accumulate as many points as I possibly can. And then anything after 12, well, you just take your best 12. So I know David McCullum plays in like 20 or 25 events, and his best 12 go towards the sort of similar to the way handicaps work, right? His best 12 go towards the Order of Merit, whereas at least if I play in 12, that will give me the base at least to be able to be on the same number of rounds as what everyone else is when it comes to the Order of Merit points accumulation. So that would be probably my first goal in, and I have looked at where I could potentially do that. There's quite a few tournaments in that August, September, October range. So there's a number there. I don't know how many I'll get to in the first half of the year, but yeah, hopefully maybe in the back end of the year I might be able to get to a few of those.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. I think you've got I think we've both recognised that the senior amateur is probably not going to happen for us this year.
There's no chance that I'm going to get a start in the senior amateur. It's just, there's too many unknowns with, and I think the entries close in the not too distant future. So
it is 15th of February they close.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. I thought it was sometime in January.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got this appointment obviously on the 30th, and then just to get any sort of reasonable preparation. It's just not going to happen for me to take a week off, work and travel to an event where I've had almost no preparation. I don't think is ideal. So I'd rather spend the time now getting my wrist right, getting my game in some sort of reasonable shape with just playing in local club competitions, or and I'm might go and play in a couple of other at a couple of other courses and a couple of other competitions. But I think that is probably my smartest move, rather than trying to just dive straight in the deep end and trying to compete in a New South Wales event.
Particularly when it's over 3 rounds. I think to get your body through 3 rounds is probably a tall order at the moment. And similarly, look, my focus at the moment is on game improvement and trying to get down deeper into single digits, so that I actually more chance of qualifying for a lot of these events as well. Because at the moment, 9's not going to do it. So,
well, we know the good thing is we know it's probably to get into the dam. And that potentially could be
maybe
an option. I mean, that's towards the end of May.
Yeah.
Then we've got the country championships, which is the country championships early this year again.
Don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen that. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I haven't had a good look at the Golf New South Wales event calendar. That's one thing that I'll probably do in the next week, and maybe our next episode we can dive into exactly when these events are and what we can realistically foresee us playing in.
Yes, I think that would be good. Very good. Well, it's quite a bit of stuff going on, as always, Andy Walker. I will be sunning myself on the Gold Coast next week, so, see how we go. We may or may not be able to squeeze in an episode, or we might just start off this year being 10 days between episodes for a little while.
Well, we've already done that, for the first couple of episodes, so we can do it for 3, I guess.
It's hard to know. Anyway, we'll keep you posted, Pilgrims. But look, I think the message is yearly championship is alive and well. And I've noticed, as I said at the beginning, there's been quite a few new faces joining that crowd, which is awesome. Tell your friends, get as many people involved as possible, because the more people we've got in it, the more fun it is. And, the more we can lay claim to having the premium global podcast-based monthly, yearly, Stableford style golf competition anywhere in the world, without putting too many clarifiers on it.
No word salad there, is there?
No, and think about what you want for the countback rule. The dice of truth is here in my hand. Yes. It's ready to go.
Let us know, Pilgrims, what your thoughts are.
See how you go. And whilst you're thinking about all of those things, Andy Walker, do you potentially have any advice for the Pilgrims?
Just one thing left to do after that. That is to rock out, Pilgrims.
Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our Pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, Pilgrims.